Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today, I'm going to ensure that I am never able to run for public office. I talked about this in a recent video where I was talking about one of the primary politicians behind getting the Epstein files released, somebody that believed in the Fourth Amendment, somebody that believed in the government not being able to buy your private data, somebody that had a lot of really interesting pieces of legislation that just got kicked out of office. And I think this may be a good video for me because once you will have access to the clips within this video, you will simply be able to play them if I ever decide to run for city council or mayor or governor in the future, and this video will ensure that I am unelectable. Let's have some fun. Somebody emailed me asking what do I think of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, because they were the group that apparently was behind this getting put into the infrastructure bill where there would be a kill switch in cars so that if the car detects alcohol or alcohol on the user, that it would not allow you to continue using the car to continue driving. And that's a great question. On this channel for many years, I've gone over the erosion of ownership, and we've covered motor vehicles for a while. We've covered Ford patenting a method to spy on drivers to put ads inside the car. We've covered your car collecting your text messages and personal data with no delete key, and the automaker not even having to have a delete key so that they have access to your text messages, but you don't. And this does not even break privacy legislation in the United States. That's how bad our privacy laws are. I've talked about Ford patenting the ability to lip read you and also detect your emotions and your emotional state while you're in the car. We've talked about General Motors selling the data inside of your car and how you drive to insurance companies and how that led to people having their insurance rates raised because of how they were driving without them being made aware that they were being judged by the world's shittiest AI. There's a lot that I've talked about, and it came to a peak when I did this video. Car remote kill switch, another reason not to buy the cars of the future. And this is something that looks like it is going to make its way through. Now, this comes from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The Halt for Drunk Driving Law, Anti-Drunk Driving Technology for All. Mothers Against Drunk Driving's bold and achievable goal is that every new car will be equipped with anti-drunk driving technology by 2030, setting us on a path to end drunk driving for good. Once in place, this will save more than 10,000 lives per year. Now, when I look into that number, it comes from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. As I put in my wiki article, the IIHS is a research and lobbying arm wholly funded by auto insurance companies despite a name that gets it routinely treated as a federal safety regulator in news coverage. The organization was founded by 3 insurance trade associations. Its current members roster reads like a who's who of auto insurers: State Farm, Progressive, Geico, and their major trade associations. The funding base is the conflict. The same insurers who fund IIHS run the telematics and usage-based insurance programs that collect driver behavior data from phones, plug-in dongles, and factory-installed connected car systems. And they use that data to raise premiums, deny claims, and sell driver profiles into the data broker market. In short, when a congressional press release, a mad fact sheet, or a journalist story says a federal study shows that the HALT Act will save more than 10,000 lives a year, the federal study in question is a model produced by the trade association of the very companies that will collect, sell, and profit from the biometric data that the rule mandates. NHTSA's own 2024 report to Congress, by contrast, told Congress that no detection technology is anywhere close to the accuracy that the rule would require. And I have an article here going over the entire mess of General Motors collecting people's data without their consent and sharing it and selling it without their consent. Now, I received an email today asking what I think of that. If I knew that this was started by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, people who don't like drunk drivers, how do you feel about the fact that you were opposing this group, Lewis? This group that sounds very sympathetic. You can see here that they're even naming this piece of legislation after people who have passed away to make sure that it receives maximum sympathy when getting pushed through Congress. And people have asked, like, what do I think of this? Like, when I'm talking about how this is a horrible law and how it shouldn't be pushed through and how it's a bad thing, am I aware that I'm dishonoring the memory of people who died? George Carlin put it best. See, George Carlin was called a comedian, but I never thought he was a comedian. I always saw him as a philosopher. And he put this out almost 20 or 30 years ago. I'm going to play the clip for you.
Something else I'm getting tired of is all this stupid bullshit we have to listen to all the time about children. It's all you hear in this country. Children. Help the children. What about the children? Save the children. You know what I say? Fuck the children. Fuck them.
You get what he was getting at? It made sense 30 years ago. It probably makes a lot more sense now that you see that they are trying to remove your ability to have privacy. They want you to show your ID before you use your fucking operating system or your computer or use Discord or any website to protect the children, while simultaneously we live in a world where people who push for accountability for pedophiles literally get voted out of office. Fuck the children. When he said fuck the children, what he meant is not I hate children. He was saying, fuck this concept of you using children as a sympathetic shield to push forward bad policy and bad agendas. And George Carlin is not alive today, so he's not here to say it. So I will. I have all the sympathy in the world for anybody who has ever lost a loved one because of a drunk driver. Fuck drunk drivers. And I have nothing wrong with mothers who were against drunk driving. That being said, Fuck Mothers Against Drunk Driving as an organization. Fuck Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This manipulative garbage. Automakers will be required to design their vehicles with technology included, the same way that cars today come equipped with seatbelts, airbags, and backup cameras. What makes this different than a system that tries to detect if it thinks I'm drunk? Not if I'm drunk, if it thinks I'm drunk, and then stop the car. I can drive the car without the seatbelt on. I can drive the car if the backup camera doesn't work. I can drive the car if there's an issue with the airbag. You know when I can drive the car? When you actively turn it off. It's not the same fucking thing as a seatbelt or lane assist or an airbag or a backup camera. I want you to think of how this would affect the incentive structure. You have one news report of the system malfunctioning at one point. It's just to think about this for a moment. I'm going to pick up a friend. I want you to think about the society that you're actually creating and really hone in on this for a moment. Imagine that my friend has a 2016 Toyota Corolla. He is drunk. He calls me and he asks if I could pick him up because he's drunk. I have a car that was made in 2030, and I just read on the news last week that there was a malfunction in one of these systems that caused it to think that the person in the car had alcohol or it detected alcohol in the car, and therefore it did not allow the car to turn on. Let's say I say, you know what, man, I'm sorry, can't do it, can't risk it, I'm not going to get stranded. Now, my friend actually gets into his car that allows him to drive drunk and drives home. There are so many ways that when you try to control people to this level, you wind up creating what are called unintended consequences that make it way worse than what you were actually trying to do, which is why you shouldn't try to have this type of dictatorial control over other people, and you shouldn't have systems in a car that can detect their emotional state, that can detect their biometric identity, that store every little single fucking piece of information on them, because it's not going to work the way that you think. If I know that there's a system in my car that does anything regarding detection of alcohol in the air and blood or whatever the hell else, and it's using some bullshit-ass AI model or crappy-ass sensor to try and figure that out, I am not letting somebody that's inebriated into my car because I don't want to be stranded on the side of the highway at 4 a.m. If there's even a 0.1% chance that letting that person into my vehicle is going to cause it to not turn on, then I'm not letting them in my car. That fundamentally changes the way that I make decisions. And it means that when somebody calls me at 2 or 3 a.m. and says, I'm drunk, can you give me a ride home? I may say no. I don't like when sacred cows and sympathetic people are used as props to push bad policy simply because you can't criticize them. I don't like when that bad policy has citations of studies performed by organizations backed and founded by the very companies that are going to benefit from getting lawmakers and normal people used to being spied on and monitored in their cars. And I don't like the idea that you're not allowed to say something about it because how dare you? George Carlin said, fuck the children. I'll say fuck Mothers Against Drunk Driving. There you go. I'm not getting elected to Congress. Wasn't going to anyway. I have all the sympathy in the world for anybody that's ever lost a loved one or ever dealt with an injury as a result of some fuckface getting behind the wheel while drunk or just doing something stupid while drunk. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. You think George Carlin had it right? I think he did. I don't think he meant it literally, and I do think a lot of people in the files did think he took it literally. He probably should have made it like a footnote at the end of his that skit that he didn't mean that literally, but yeah. See you in the next video. Bye now.